afternoon, everyone. Welcome to yet another lecture, the second week lecture of the course titled Artificial Intelligence in Industrial Management Engineering. I am Dr. Deepa Philip and I am from IIT Kanpur. And today this week, we are going to cover the fundamentals of the AI and how this is being applied in the business decision domain. And we have already seen in the previous lecture importance about industrial engineering and how the business decisions are being taken and how the productivity, transformation system, manufacturing, various facets of industrial engineering, how that actually helps in the production world, etc. We have discussed it. So, today we will start getting into the basics of AI, and then somewhere down the road we will tie all of them together with live examples. So, without any further delay, today's lecture, let us go to it. Actually says BI. BI stands for Business Intelligence, Analytics, and AI. AI stands for Artificial Intelligence, you know that. So, how is that is part of the business decision system? That is our course today. So, if we look in today's agenda, the main thing we are going to talk about is not in this order, but mostly we are going to talk about is a decision process, and why do we need disruptive or innovative products, and why is that critical for the business world, okay? And what is AI ML and certain use cases or specific examples as part of it. So, now with this, let us get to the next topic, or the main topic is called as the learning pyramid. And why we need to work on the learning pyramid, it is critical. This was originally proposed by Edgar Dale in 1969. Okay. And the learning pyramid is that it is a triangular structure like this, okay, and the top of it is actually what we call as the reading. Okay. Then followed by that is the what we call as hearing words. Okay. Then followed by that we have is seeing. Okay. Then we have something like watching movies, then looking at an exhibit, or a demo, watching demonstration, okay, and also observing it being done at a location, then there is the second last one, which is we call it as participating in a discussion, giving a talk, last one is doing a dramatic presentation, okay, simulating the real experience, or doing it in real time. Okay. So, these are the various methods, okay, what we call as this learning pyramid, methods of learning. Okay. And then in this side we say after 2 weeks we tend to remember. How much we will remember? That is a question. If it is reading, okay, in this case it is about 10% of what we read. Okay. Then in hearing it is about 20% of what we hear, and 30% of what we see. Okay. And then this third part, watching movies, looking at an exhibit, all these kind of things, that's 50% of what we hear and see. Okay. Then participating in a discussion, it is 70% of what we say. Okay. The last one is 90% of what we say and do. So, up to this 50% thing, okay, this much, okay, this is called as passive learning. Okay. And the bottom two portions of the pyramid, we call it as active learning. So, the logic is that in this course we will try to move normally in a normal lecture or watching an NPTEL course or whatever it is, we want to move from the idea is to move from passive to active learning. Why do you do that? To ensure better retention. So, our interest is being in this portion of learning. Okay. That is where we are interested in being part of it. Okay. So, with this we try to do everything in this course to be part of from here onwards in the active learning domain. And as mentioned earlier, there are three system types that are, because I told you the AI in industrial and systems engineering, industrial management engineering. So, there are three systems, and in broadly any system you take in the world you can classify into any of these three. And in your x axis you have time and your y axis you have performance, and in all these cases this is how the x and y axes are defined. Okay. So, the first system is where it tends to maintain the same level of performance. It is maintain same level of performance. Okay. Such a system which will continue to maintain the same level of performance, this kind of a system is called as a control system. Okay. I remember I mentioned to you that management control is a critical thing. Right. The idea is that if you look long term into this, if you have factored in the cost and escalations and everything, theoretically the actual performance of the system will tend to go like this, because as time progresses the same performance will result in lower value. Okay. So, this is the value tends to come down. Now, there is a second type of a system where we start at performance at some point of time, you maintain it, and then what you do is you do a small improvement, you maintain this, then take another improvement, maintain this, take another improvement, maintain this, like this. Okay. So, such kind of a system is what we call as reactive system. Okay. Reactive in a sense, it is also the Japanese word for this is kaizen, okay, or continuous improvement. Okay. So, you can see that the size, let us call this as h. Okay. So, as time progresses, the possible return or improvement in performance tend to reduce. Okay. So, this is the second part of it. Okay. So, this the Japanese word that we call it as continuous improvement. So, reactive system, as and when need happens, we tend to slightly improve and stabilize, stabilize. Okay. So, this is the improve, this is the stabilize. Okay. Then comes the third system that we talk about, where in reality the performance will start from some place and it will have its distinct three phases, which is called as the growth phase, the plateau phase, and then the decline phase. Okay. All the three aspects are embedded in the actual system. The logic here is that when the system reaches the plateau of the first phase, you keep on breaking through. Okay. So, you tend to break through the plateau. Okay. How? It says using innovation. Okay. Example, let us take Amazon. Okay. And Amazon went through what you call as used books, then books, then e-tail, then Amazon Web Services, etc. So, each time they changed it into a new type of a business model. So, as I said earlier, the control system, what we talk about control, okay, which is maintain existing system. Sometimes we can also think about it as bureaucracy, okay, bureaucratic systems. The reactive, it is incremental improvement. Okay. Improve, stabilize, improve, stabilize. Then this system, what we talk breakthrough, which is what we call as proactive system. Okay. So, what we do in a proactive system is proactive system. It is innovative breakthrough systems. Breakthrough systems. Okay. So, in innovative, or I said also yesterday I mentioned this, innovation is equal to creativity plus commercialization. So, the logic here is that we break through the plateau, the ceiling, and move into a new system by combining creativity and commercialization, or using innovation we break through into a new systems. Now, this is how the systems are broadly classified. Now, why do we need, or what is the need for breakthrough products? Okay. Let us discuss that now. So, the need for breakthrough products, let us talk about a fact, which is world is undergoing, the world is undergoing drastic and rapid changes. This we know. Okay. So, what does this mandates us? With this fact, we need to understand that requires ability to propose breakthrough solutions. Breakthrough solutions. Since the world is undergoing very drastic and rapid changes, we need, or the organization needs to have the capability to propose breakthrough solutions. Breakthrough solutions means it need to change as time rapidly. Okay. Now, the understanding fast changing and increasingly complex environment and making decisions for such situations is difficult. So, this is a fact. Okay. We have to understand that it is a fast changing and increasingly complex environment, okay. Business environment, when we say environment, it is I am talking about business environment. Okay. And hence, for such a kind of scenario, you want to make decisions. Okay. Decisions means, I would say, planning for future decisions. Okay. That is difficult, it is increasingly challenging. Okay. Then, now let us talk about this next fact. Okay. Next fact. Okay. Most people are not used or accustomed to seeing the big picture. Okay. This is a critical aspect. People tend to not to see the big picture. Why? People mostly solve problem faced by a tree. Or even a branch of a tree. Okay. Second part is ignore or fail to realize the impact on the entire forest. It is very easy to focus on a tree or a branch of a tree. It is very easy to do micro or very contained limited problem, or people fail to realize or ignore the impact on the entire forest. Okay. One more fact. Okay. People or decision makers often think, okay, that the world works linearly. Okay. Some people call this as engineering mindset, etc. So, an example of this is okay, put 10 kg fertilizer, the yield goes up by 5%. Okay. Therefore, if 20 kg fertilizer is put, the yield should go up by 10%. This is the thought process. The biggest thing is, this is not true. Okay. That is something that people should understand, because it is not linear. Okay. So, the world rarely works linearly in this fashion. So, that is the reason, okay, because you have a drastic and rapidly changing world, in which to adjust to the changes you need a fast breakthrough solutions, and hence the complex environment or complex business environment, it is very difficult to plan for future decisions. And why it is difficult? Because people are mostly not used to seeing the big picture, and people who makes a decision think in linear fashion. Now, the traditional approach, okay, the why don't we follow the traditional approach in, or why people says the traditional approach, or maybe people say AI and other kind of things are supposed to help you with the modern approach. So, what is this? So, one of the statements I want to make here is, if everyone follows the best practice, then it becomes mediocre practice. Okay. So, if everyone follows the best practice, then it actually will become mediocre practice. So, some of the aspects we need to know is few facts. Okay. Facts. A, first fact, traditional data collection is unidirectional. Okay. Traditionally, people do data collection in a unidirectional fashion. I kind of use the word as cause effect. Okay. If there is a cause and effect, then we collect the data about it. Okay. Or it can be unidirectional, cause effective, or presumptive. Okay. Presumptive means you have presumption and you collecting data based on that. This is sometimes you can call it as hypothesis testing. I have a presumption, I have a belief that I am doing this. The question is why? Why is that way? Why is the data collection unidirectional or presumptive? Okay. The reason is mostly for statistical analysis. Okay. So, we do statistical analysis, and for the statistical analysis we do either unidirectional or presumptive data testing. Then second fact is finding invisible and unknown elements becomes difficult. Okay. Becomes difficult with what? Difficult with the unidirectional or presumptive data collection. But one thing I would also like to just mention here is, however, latent variable statistical analysis attempts to do this. This shortcoming or this shortfall. Okay. So, what we are saying is the invisible and unknown becomes difficult because of this unidirectional presumptive data collection. So, hence, because the fundamental logic is the statistical analysis, that is why we try to collect data for that. Okay. So, the 5 principles for developing breakthrough products. Okay. So, what are some of the 5 principles to develop this? Number 1, what we call as 360-degree view. Okay, is very important in the business world, because desire to produce products that customers would really like and buy. Okay. An example of this is in India. If you take an example, you can say Toyota Innova is an example of something like this. Okay. product that the customers really like and they tend to buy that way. Number 2, the stepping stones. What do you mean by the stepping stone principle? Okay. This is what we call as the open agenda exploration. Okay. Against a focused questionnaire or hypothesis testing. Okay. You explore in, sometimes people call this, even sometime the other word that is used for this term is pattern seeking or pattern identification, etc. Okay. You openly explore without any presumption in your mind, okay, without looking for specific answers. You look for the open agenda exploration, so that you are able to find better products or come up with better capabilities. The third one is what we call as by chance. Okay. Focused mind that is sensitive towards a problem, can notice obscure opportunities. Okay. This an example is, example, tire vulcanization by Charles Goodyear is an example of this. Similarly, invention of microwave by Percy in Raytheon is another example, right. Fourth, intuitive capabilities. Okay. So, the logic here is trust your intuitions and avoid paralysis by analysis. Okay. That is the fourth part. Okay. So, you trust your intuitions, just get into this loop of paralysis by analysis. And the last one is qualitative data. While everybody likes the quantitative data, okay, you should also consider qualitative data like opinion, feeling, experience, observation, interviews, etc. So, these 5 principles, 360-degree view, stepping stones, by chance, then intuitive capabilities and qualitative data, these 5 additional aspects from your environment, your business system or your production facility is also critical for you to realize the opportunity of developing breakthrough products. So, with this we will take a short break for this. We will move into the next session, okay, because we will now talk about the business intelligence, decision making and decision support system, why business intelligence is required, etc. as part of this lecture, a part of the second component of it, and we will continue into the examples with AI. Thank you for your patient hearing.